Alright, hello Merit Badge counselors. Happy April 1st. Wanted to go over the new Merit Badge process that we're going to be using in the troop, moving away from the blue cards into the electronic format. I've spoken to many of you about this already, but I did want to provide a visual aid for kind of what's happening on both the scout side as well as on the adult Merit Badge counselor side. So we'll go ahead and get jumped into this. So this is a view for a test scout, and this would be the view of what a scout would see when they're actually making requests for merit badges. So we're going to act as if the scout came up to me during a meeting and said they wanted to do backpacking merit badge, and I said I would be their counselor. So the scout would go into their instance of Troop Webhost, would click on menu, they would go down to my stuff, and they would click on my merit badges. So in this case, you can see that this scout has already asked me to do cooking with them as well, and I'll show you why in a minute, why I've already kind of pre-populated this. I used it for a recording I did for the scouts. But in this case, they want to add yet another merit badge, and they are looking at doing backpacking. So when they pick backpacking, then they go to the merit badge counselors. You see there's 3 in here. They discussed it with me. You could put a comment in or not saying that they asked to be, need to be their merit badge counselor. Then they would say save and exit. So here's what's different now for the scouts when we go in here and look, is that they will have a request sign off option in Troop Webhost next to each of their merit badges they're working on. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click it on backpacking. And we're just going to say number 1 and 2A, they worked on at the last meeting with me. Please sign off. We worked on this last meeting. And this could be similar. They could send me something through Trip Webhost. Sent documents through Troop Webhost for approval. Please sign off. And then they can save and exit, and that now will generate something on my side. So we're going to go ahead and switch over real quick to my view. And so in my view, and this would be the same for all of you as merit badge counselors, if you go under menu, click on my stuff, you'll see there is now an approved request to sign off on merit badge requirements. So when I click on this, for everybody that I'm working with, if there is requests that they put in, this is where it'll all show up. So you can see I actually have 2 requests for backpacking and 2 for cooking. So in this case, I can go in here and I can approve or deny, add some notes. The other option obviously is if, let's say the documents they sent through Troop Webhost weren't sufficient, I could do neither on this one and message them back and say I need additional information, or talk to them in the next meeting to try to get that, to where I would actually approve. The only time you would deny is if there wasn't a discussion, or it was one of those, they sent you paperwork for something that said discuss, and you wanted to push back versus having another discussion, to see if you could get to approve. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and let's say, for whatever reason, these documents, weren't, required an actual discussion versus documents. Requires a discussion versus documents sent. Let's discuss at next meeting. And then they could resubmit this for approval. But then let's say I just go ahead and approve the next 2 because they did meet the requirement. So in that case, I could hit save, and that would then go in and save this in the Scouts view as far as, being signed off and in the system. Nice thing is there's no blue card to lose and potentially lose sign off things, because in most cases scouts don't get a blue card and requirements recorded until they're completely done. which leaves a lot of opportunities for things to happen, and loss of productivity by the scout and frustration for sure. If there, at some point, let's say there's a lot of merit badges in here, you decided you wanted to sort by the merit badge, you could do that if you've got too many things on the screen. But in this case, I'm going to hit save, and now I have nothing to sign off. So by going back now to the scout, I can go here and view requirements, and you'll see this one was earned. Okay. So if I back out of that and go back to request sign off, same thing, right? So in this case, 2A is showing not in here, like 1 is now not in here, but it's been signed off, it's completed, so this is only going to show what's outstanding. In this case, it was rejected, requires a discussion versus document sent, which was the note I put in. So again, you have the ability to kind of have some back and forth in the tool as well. Again, I view this for the scouts, being electronic is kind of a natural motion for all of them. For us, it cuts down on tracking of paper, use of blue cards, which is kind of antiquated at this point, leverages something that's already built into Troop Webhost, and again also frees up one of our adults from having to do a lot of manual logging of basically sign-offs that have already truly been signed off by the merit badge counselors themselves. Hope this was helpful, and again, if there's any questions as we start moving through this and scouts start coming to you, feel free to ask me. It looks like it's pretty straightforward, and I think as we get moving here, this will be a much better motion for all of us than the paper version we were doing before. Thank you so much for everything you do for the scouts and for the troop, and good evening.